With JRA, it's never ending. You know, you've got somebody that's been there before, that's built their own business. You get a systemized way of acquiring clients, get a systemized way of acquiring employees, to retain the customers, to get new trucks, what kind of trucks to get, what kind of website you want, what kind of content you want to be posting. All I can say is that it's been a great investment so far. We doubled the sales in 2020 despite the pandemic, and we're scheduled to do it again this year as well.
Welcome everybody, it is Tuesday, 12 noon Easter time. First time in a while, but we're back with Let's Talk Junk. Brought to you by me, Lee Godbold with Junk Removal Authority, where we help junk removal business owners make more money and live a better life. If you guys are looking to grow, get in business, grow, expand your business, then the Junk Removal Authority marketing service packages that includes a website, SEO, and Google Ads management is exactly what you need. Hundreds of companies throughout the country are using it, seeing amazing results. You can see many of those testimonials on our YouTube channel, so check it out. Then give us a call at 919-737-7240, and you can talk to somebody to figure out if what we offer can be beneficial to you. All right, so what's been going on the last few days or last few weeks with everybody? We've been out, so in the case of us here at JRA, we had a business package class in last week. There's a couple other things going the week prior, and that's the reason we haven't done this show in a few weeks. Business package class was great. We had 5 people all throughout the country come in here. They were here all 5 days during the week doing classroom training as well as on the truck training. A couple of those companies have launched, one being Delta Junk Removal down in Mobile, Alabama, already running 1 truck pretty consistently, only a week or so in business. Of course, he got a little bit of a boost from Mother Nature doing a little bit of storm cleanup when that hurricane came in rolling down in that New Orleans, Mobile, Alabama area. So we've had a lot going on here. Hope you guys have been busy. I know August for many was a bit slower. It seems to have picked back up. So in the comments section, let us know, how's your business doing right now? Are you guys rocking and rolling? Are you a bit slow? What do you expect over the next few months and this month in particular? All right. So today, what we're going to be speaking about is something that is near and dear to my heart, which is new business development, specifically through junk removal marketing. So we're marketing, one of the services we do at JRA is marketing. So this is obviously something we're very passionate about. If you go back 11 years when we started Junk Doctors, the reason we're a 14, 15 truck operation now doing somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 million a year is, and some of our competitors that started at the same time are a 2 truck operation doing maybe $500,000 a year, is marketing. We've always been aggressive marketers. We've never been afraid to spend money to make money, and it's a little painful early on, but later on it really, really pays off. You got this great business coming in with consistent business coming in, and you're not having to bust your ass every single day out there on the truck yourself trying to keep expenses very, very low because you have no sales and you're trying to maximize returns. So we're talking about junk removal marketing, specifically digital marketing today. Now, what are the 3 main digital marketing pieces with junk removal? So that you 100% own, your platform that you 100% own, meaning we're not going to get into Home Advisor or Yelp or anything like that. These are things that you own. So we've got website, we've got Google Ads, and SEO. Website, Google Ads, and SEO. All of these pieces work together. And what's going to happen is as your company gets to be more established, you're going to find that a significant amount of your work is going to come between your SEO services and your Google Ads. So Google Ads is anything you pay for. So you go online and you're saying, hey, I'm going to pay a certain amount per click. Those are going to be the ads at the very top of the page that you land on when you search for, say, junk removal in your market. Search engine optimization is going to be your organic rankings. So that's going to be your map pack. And then that's going to be below your map pack, which is your regular organic listings on the search engine results page. So these are the ones that are not going to have ad behind it or beside it. Kind of a neat little thing that on junk removal is now it's about a 50-50 split. So 50-50 split between customers that click ads and go organic. Now, if you watch this video, or a video we did on marketing, say from 2 or 3 years ago, this number was about 60-40. 60% went to SEO, organic listings, 40% went to ads. Well, Google, because Google makes all of its money, over 90% of its revenue, which is like trillions, comes from, or at least many, many billions, comes from their Google Ads platform. So everything else Google does, they make very, very little money on. Almost all of their money and their profits come from Google Ads, and it's extremely profitable. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to lessen the amount of people that go organic. So over time, if you've noticed, it's become less clear what a Google ad is and what an organic listing is. They've also added more ads. So on the desktop page, you used to have like 2 ads at the top and you had a bunch of ads on the side. Now you're showing 4 up top. And then even in the map pack is generally an ad. And then you have your 3 organic listings. They've taken the color gradients out. It used to be there was this big color gradient. It was very, very pink in the background. Now it's ever so slightly a different color. So over time, they're trying to really blend this in to basically get people to where they're clicking on ads and they're going less down to the organic results. So this number, it's working for Google. This number is now about 50-50 that we see on junk removal companies. When you are a brand new business, you haven't opened up at all, Google Ads is an excellent way to kickstart your business. So it's a Kickstarter. However, this year, 2 years ago, we told you this, you have to be willing to spend at least $1,500 a month in order to be halfway, even partly competitive on Google Ads. Now that does vary some from market to market. There are a few small markets out there you're not going to spend $1,500. You need to be willing to, but you're just not going to spend it. There are some competitive markets out there that number is probably actually higher now. It's probably more like $2,500, $3,000 on the floor. Because what we're seeing is Google, well, one, ads just become more expensive. You have more people out there, more competition. They're charging more. They're doing a better job. They got some more money to spend on advertising. So Google is partly, the ads platform is partly an auction, so it's starting to push that a little bit higher. The other thing that's happening is Google is changing its algorithm a little bit, either on purpose or not, to where your smaller spenders, you're not going to have as much success anymore. If you don't show at least a certain percentage of the time, we're starting to see data from Google, which is they're basically bearing you farther down on the page. You're getting lower conversions. Especially with Google making this push towards automation, they're really looking at the higher spenders as being the place that they want to try and push more spend to. These are the guys that are willing to spend money and do whatever. So the smaller guys are starting to get pushed out a little bit. In junk removal, you're considered small if you're willing to spend less than $1,500 in most markets, but in some larger markets, again, it's that $2,000 to $3,000 mark. Guys, if we have any questions at all, please feel free to post them in the comments section as we roll through this. So what are the 3 parts of what determines how good a Google, or how do you set up yourself, how do you set up for success or get your Google Ads campaign set up for success? So one, you have to have an excellent campaign. The second thing is you have to have a website that is built to convert. And the third thing is you have to be good on the telephone. So here's something we see happen quite often. Somebody sets up a Google Ads campaign and they kind of do it on their own and they don't do a tremendous amount of research to really learn it. Honestly, 99.9% of you, or pretty much all of you, need to be focused on running your junk removal business, not managing your Google Ads campaign, because it takes some consistent time every single week looking at that campaign. But if you're going to attempt to do it on your own, there are videos out there and courses out there you really need to invest in order to begin to try this. And oftentimes what happens is people attempt it and then they're like, all right, I see enough now, I know enough now, let me go on with a different company. But what we see happen is somebody sets up a campaign and they focus on how many keywords can I show for? I want the most possible keywords. And I remember back when we started, or I started an ads campaign 11 years ago, that was my deal. You know, I was sitting there and I brainstormed all the different keywords, from trash removal to garbage removal to metal removal to appliance removal to junk hauling to rubbish removal, grill removal, couch removal. trash pickup, junk pickup. We can go through this huge list, and Google helps you out too. It starts making recommendations as to additional keywords for you to add. Here's a little bit of a trick though, or a little bit of a fact very few people realize, and Google doesn't want you to know. You actually, the important part on your Google Ads campaign is what you do not show for. What you don't show for is more important than what you do show for. And why is that? Is because especially in junk removal, there are a lot of keywords that are not good to show for because it's not going to lead to business. Those keywords are some of the ones I just mentioned. Trash pickup, horrible keyword for Google Ads. Is there junk removal work to be had from trash pickup? Yes, there is. But for every one junk removal customer, you're going to have like 2,000 people simply looking for their regular garbage pickup and then their regular garbage pickup schedule. So anything to do with garbage or pickup schedule, that's generally needs to be something you don't want to show for. So you want to add that as a negative keyword. There's also certain ways to structure your ad to where Google ranks you as a higher quality score. A higher quality score is going to mean you get to actually pay less than your competitor that has a lower quality score for the same ranking. So higher quality scores, if you're ever having issues with cost per conversion being too high or your cost per click being higher than where you'd like to see it, then you can look at your quality score to see if you can raise up that quality score. The quality score is also affected by your website. So if you build out an amazing Google Ads campaign, let's say it is as good as JRA can do it. Let's say you came to JRA and you had us build out a campaign, but you don't have a great website, you might as well just take the money out of your pocket, go to your window, and just start shuffling it right out the window, because that's what you're doing. You're literally throwing money out the window. You're putting the cart before the horse. Get the website first. Get a great website first, then send traffic to it. Once you have an amazing website, when that traffic gets to your site, they're actually going to follow up by making a phone call or placing an online booking, because you've set the site up in such a way that it answers their primary questions very fast. It's easy to find, and it comes off as professional. So we want to send good qualified traffic to your page. They want to know you're a professional company. Your website can speak volumes. Matter of fact, there are companies out there that their website is more professional than they actually are. And that's great at getting initial business. Now, long term, you might not get repeat business, but your website is your very first spot for you to really come off as professional and make sure you're appealing to the correct customer. And then you make sure you make it easy to contact you. The website can do a great job with phone number placement and contact form submittals, as well as online bookings to help you get conversions. Now, online bookings, quick side note on online bookings. Very important to have online bookings because a lot of people are at work booking junk removal. They're not supposed to be on the phone. They're not supposed to be doing that kind of stuff. Think about Amazon, how much shopping people do with Amazon during their workday. If the companies out there banned you from going to Amazon.com while you were working, their sales would be much lower. You as a junk removal company, you're in the same boat. Don't make people call you. 20%, 25% of your bookings can actually be online with a properly set up online booking system. Workies.com/JRA. Workies.com/JRA. That is a scheduling and dispatch software that we recommend. We've worked with them to make some adjustments over the years, so it's a pretty daggone great software for the junk removal industry. Workies.com/JRA. They have also a very, very good online booking system. Very fast, straight to the point, minimal amount of information that needs to get submitted, and it books. It goes straight onto your calendar. You get a notification, your customer gets a notification, and automatic reminders. It's a great system. Workies.com/JRA. If you want a little bit of discount, use that /JRA part. All right, so let's say we've got the website right now. We got the phone numbers where people can contact you. They can book online. Or in this case, you've got the phone number deal right. So you're still going to get the majority of your bookings are going to come through phone calls. So here's the other thing that we see. We mentioned before, people set up a poor campaign. They target too many keywords, and they don't untarget by using the negative keywords, the bad keywords. The second thing is they send maybe a good campaigner, but they send Google Ads traffic to a bad website. The third thing, and the worst, in my mind, the worst sin of all, is to spend the money on getting a great website, is to spend the money on the Google Ads traffic that goes to your website, and then the customer calls, they're excited, they're ready to book, and you don't answer the phone. You don't answer the phone. You spent all this money, but you didn't pick the phone up and you didn't answer it. Or you didn't hire somebody to answer it, or you didn't use, we got a JRA contact center. We book jobs for 70-some companies throughout the country. There's no excuse for you not to pick up the phone. Now, from time to time, calls going to get missed. You're not going to be able to get to it. A contact center might not be able to get to it. The person you hire might be overwhelmed and can't get to it. But the majority of your calls, the vast majority of your calls, need to be answered. The ones that aren't need to be called back. And you need to maximize what you're spending by just answering the phone and handling the call right. So the first part is answering. That's a lot of businesses miss that part. The second part is properly handling that phone conversation. We've put videos out in the past on how to do it, so I'm not going to really speak on that now, but you guys need to have some basic salesmanship skills here. You need to know how to handle objections. You need to know how to sound professional. You need to know how to answer the phone professionally. You need to really put your customers at ease and make sure they are positive that you're the right company from them by the way you handle that phone call. Starts with answering, and then the second part is you handle it correctly. What kind of questions we got?
All right, if you were just starting out today and you were on a budget, what forms of advertising would you focus on to grow your business? You mentioned Google Ads, but $1.5 thousand a month would eat a lot of my capital.
Yeah, so Google Ads at the very start, if you don't have that number now, if you're, all right, let's say you're brand new, you're just starting out a business and everything like that, I'd like to see you have at least $5,000 to $7,000 in an account before you began Google Ads. So if you're there with just $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever like that, I would look first at yard sign. I mean the cheap stuff, the very, very cheap stuff. Your yard signs, your door hanger flyers, picking up the phone, calling professional organizers, Craigslist ads. I haven't done Craigslist ads in years. I think they can still work. You're going to get a cheaper customer, but this is a way for you to get up. You're out there. You're willing to get out there and put the work and build up some additional income. Because what you need to do is you need to find a way to get to that about $5,000 to $7,000 in your account. And then you can start Google Ads at, say, $1,500 a month. When you first start out on Google Ads at $1,500 a month, it might take you a little while before, it might take a few weeks and all before it turns profitable. So you have to have that little bit of a nest egg really built up before you even try it. I would have a website. You do need a website. The website being built to convert, so some basic conversion stuff. If you go out and you do a cheap site at the very beginning, just make it look decent, and when you get ready to do Google Ads, then switch over to a site that's more professional, that's set up better for conversions. So that's what I would do right off the bat. I'd get a website, do some Craigslist ads. I would do Home Advisor. It's a pain. I'd make sure my Yelp listing was on there. I would do some basic SEO, so I'd submit to, there's about 25 or 30 databases that Google likes seeing links come in from. I'd submit my information there. And then I would just find ways of networking with realtors, professional organizers, small remodelers, and I would put out a ton of yard signs, door hanger flyers, yard signs at job sites also. Remember to ask your customer about putting a yard sign out at your job site. And you'll be amazed at that little bit of stuff right there. It'll start generating business. Consistently get those yard signs out, they start bringing business in. Get to that $5,000 to $7,000, turn it into Google Ads. Start at $1,500 a month. When that's working well, it's profitable, move it to $2,000, then $3,000, then $4,000, and then as much as you can spend. All of this, it's a ladder you're climbing. Now, some people start out higher up on that ladder. People that go through our business package that have a bunch of money, they can really jumpstart this thing. They'll come through our class, they'll spend 20 grand on the package, they'll do all of our marketing services. Some of these guys, their first month, they might do 8 grand. We've seen some guys their first month do 30 grand. So there's a couple different ways of approaching it. If you've got a low budget, what I just mentioned though is exactly how I would do it, and just keep your eye on the ball. Don't get impatient. If you're putting out yard signs, you do them long enough, they're going to work. If you've got the Home Advisor ads out, it for the most part is going to work. And then you look at it long term. Even if I'm not making a bunch of money on some of these marketing methods I'm using now, I know these guys are going to come back, reuse me, refer me to others, and leave online reviews, which is going to lead to more business. Any other questions at all, Matt?
Yeah, we got, what does the typical Google Ads campaign or ad spend look like after 6 months of SEO for a new business? How much to scale back after SEO is ongoing?
Yeah, so you read the thing about SEO at the very start. Well, no, we're good. I know how to kind of approach this. So just remember, SEO has nothing to do with Google Ads. It sounded like in there you were talking about SEO having to do something with Google Ads. It really doesn't. You want to spend as much as possible. So once you are at least breaking even or making a little money on ads, then keep raising that. Because, let's say this. Let's say your average job is $350. So you make $350 on average for every single job. Of that $350, this isn't necessarily 100% accurate, but let's say you've got let's just say you got $200 in expenses. That means you've got, so this would be your disposal fee, this would be everything but marketing, disposal fees, payroll cost, any direct expenses, workers' compensation insurance would come off part of this, anything to do with your payroll. So you got $150 profit for every single job. If your Google Ads, let's say on Google Ads, you're spending $100 per job. Well, take your $150 profit that you have, less your $100 from Google Jobs, Google, and you're making $50 per job there. If you're profiting $50 per job, and let's say you're currently spending $1,500 a month, if you want to make more money, if you want to make more money total profit for your business, raise up this number. And you might ask, well, how much should I raise it by? Well, it depends. Part of it depends on what your impression share is. So your impression share is basically the percentage of time that your ad showed compared to the percentage, or it's the number of times your ad showed compared to the number of times somebody searched for a relevant keyword. So if your budget's too low, you might only show 30% of the time. Let's just say 50% of the time, just keep this easy. So if your impression share is 50%, that means on the exact same keywords that you're currently targeting, you could, in theory, double this to 3,000, and in theory, double this, your total profit. So if you spent $1,500, your cost per job was $100, then that's 15 jobs. What's 15 times 350, Matt?
15 times 350, 5,250.
So that's 5,250. All right, what is, so 10,500 would be, if we doubled it, it'd be 10,500 would be the income just by doubling your Google Ads budget there. So this is a common misconception, and you're not the only person, like a ton of people talk about this, and there are marketing companies that recommend this, and it has never made any sense to me, but what they recommend is, all right, you start out with Google Ads, and then you're working on your SEO, because SEO can take a while. In a non-competitive market, we launched a company the other day. He was ranked like number 2 or number 3 on the first page. He's in a pretty small market before he even opened. And then there's other areas out there. It might take 2 years before you rank really well for competitive keywords. Now you can always, SEO, when does SEO start working? It starts working almost immediately to some extent. A good SEO targeting low-hanging fruit keywords will bring in traffic and some jobs within the first, say, 90 days. But to the point where you're bringing in as much organically as you are from Google Ads, in competitive markets, it might be years. But what happens is a little at a time, you might start out at 90% Google Ads, 10% SEO, and then it goes 80-20 and 70-30, and just kind of eventually gets to this point where it's 50-50. So what some marketing companies talk about, what some business owners think about is, all right, once I'm getting good amount of organic traffic, that I should cut back my Google Ads budget. Well, at that point, if it's profitable, if you got a good campaign, you're cutting your profits back. So Google Ads is an expense, but it's very much an investment. If you could spend, if I told any of you guys right now, if you give me $200 today, give me $200 a day, I'm gonna give you $250 next month. Most of you guys, a lot of you guys, especially if I said tomorrow, a lot of you guys would take that. And then if all of a sudden I said, give me 400 and I'm going to give you, give you 500 back, and then so on and so forth, you're going to keep doing that because especially if it's consistently bringing that money in all the time. As soon as you start cutting back Google Ads, if you got a Google Ads campaign, your P&L, your profit and loss statement is going to look all screwed up because your profits are going down. Your margin, your profit margin will go higher, your net profit margin goes higher, but your overall profits go down. So when might you want to do that? For those of you guys that aren't adding trucks and people, you got to keep up with capacity. Add trucks and people. So the party, you're like, well, I'm so busy I can't keep up. If you ever get to the point you're so busy you can't keep up, you've already made a mistake because you haven't stayed ahead of the curve. You got to add trucks, you got to add people. Now you're like, well, I don't have enough money to add trucks or people. If your average job is where you need it, down here your average job is high enough, you should have enough money left over to add trucks and add people. Now, you will take a temporary pay cut when you add that new truck and those new people because you got a new truck payment, you got new insurance payment, you've got added new people on payroll. But if you keep your foot on the gas on the marketing, it's going to fill. And before you know it, you might have a 4-truck operation going on out there bringing in $1.2 million a year in sales, which will be somewhere around $260,000 to $300,000 in owner benefit in most markets. And a 4-truck junk removal operation set up with the proper systems and managed properly is a pretty smooth running business. So actually a 4-truck operation in actuality is easier to run than a 1 or a 2-truck operation. You got more trucks if one breaks down. You got more people if somebody quits when you've got a 4-truck over 2. So get to that 4-truck mark and then decide, do I want to keep growing this? Do I want to get to 10 trucks? Do I want to be like Mr. Sam Schick with JRA, grow this thing up to a $10 million a year business? Do I want to be like Lee, get this thing to a $3 million? That we want to go to 10 also by the end of 2025. So where do you want to be? Do you want to go to multiple locations? Do you want to add services? Or are you content with a 4-truck operation, making sure that thing runs extremely well, making good money with pretty low, relatively low stress, especially when it comes to business ownership? So that's your question. You never, a good ads campaign, you shouldn't ever want to turn it off. Your question should always be, how can I spend more? Because when I spend more, I make more. What you got? Anything else? Guys, there's some excellent questions there. Just very, very great questions. And a very common question, especially around reducing ad spend. You can't, when you get into the world of business ownership, you have to realize what's an actual expense and what's an investment. Advertising is very much an investment. If it's profitable, then an expense. Okay, so there are a few areas that you've got to really be aware of that marketing companies tend to kind of trick you on. So if you're going out and you're looking to hire a marketing company, one of the most common things that we see is marketing companies talking about a cost per lead. Cost per lead. This is every marketing company out there. Cost per lead, cost per lead, cost per lead. Cost per lead can be relevant, but in the vast majority of cases for many marketing companies, it is very misleading. Why is that? How could cost per lead be misleading? If I get a phone call, if I get a contact form submission, if I get an online booking, that's a lead. So I want to know, what am I spending to get those contacts? Well, they need to define what a lead is. They have to define what a lead is. So at JRA, what do we do? We define a lead as either a booking, a contact form submission, or a phone call from a relevant keyword. So if I wanted to drive down our cost per lead, let's say a client contacts us and said, hey, your cost per lead is higher than the previous company that we worked with. The first thing is I want to look at the search term report from where and what the search terms were that were leading to these leads. Now, many times they don't have that. The marketing company doesn't want to share it with them. But oftentimes what happens is you get a lot of calls for junk car removal. You get a lot of calls for people that expect you to pay them to remove their junk. So free junk removal, or even less than free, which is you paying them for their stuff. You get a lot, I can't remember from it said trash collection, garbage schedule, all that kind of stuff. Anything to do with just waste management, waste pickup. You get a ton of those calls. You'll find on the day after Thanksgiving or the day after New Year's, a ton of calls with people like, hey, y'all didn't pick my trash can up. And that's money. That's Google Ads money going straight out the door. So what happens is you're getting more phone calls, but your cost per lead is actually going down. So we run, and you should run, when you set up a campaign, a very, 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 very targeted campaign. One that is on just a small set of keywords, and you have a humongous list telling Google, do not show my ad on these keywords. And if you've got that, you got a really focused campaign, your cost per lead is going to be higher, but your cost per job will be lower. Your cost per job is what really, 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 really matters. So your cost per job is going to be lower if you have a very targeted campaign. The other thing that happens, if you have a targeted campaign, so I mentioned cost per job is lower. The other thing that occurs, you should get better clients. So your average job income is higher. Now, why is that? That's because you've eliminated the BS keywords that we just mentioned, so you actually are able to pay more cost per click to bid more to get a higher ranking on Google, and your great customers are up top. They're only going to shop maybe two, oftentimes they'll book the first one, and then they might go to a second, possibly a third. After that, they're done looking, because the top 3 guys almost all the time in junk removal are going to be professional companies. They're going to make the people feel good. They're going to realize most of this pricing is around the same. I want to book somebody. The only person that's going to the bottom of the page on Google looking for junk removal services is your bottom of the barrel customers. Those are the ones looking for the biggest deal. Those are the ones that are going to use you once. They're going to get you on a cheap price. They're going to call you back maybe later to use you, and as soon as you've raised your price, they're going to kick you out, and they're going to find the next sucker to take that really, really, really low price on. So the customers are not loyal, and they pay a lot less. That's a targeted campaign. You're going to make more money. You're going to have less stress, and you're going to be in business a heck of a lot longer than one that is aimed at just generating as many leads as possible. The final part, or the other part on SEO that we want to talk about, is how long can SEO take? So when we're addressing SEO now, we've gone from ads, we're moving over to SEO. How long can SEO take? Well, it's ongoing. Now, how soon should you get results? Almost immediately. First 90 days, you should be getting some traffic and a few jobs. Within 6 months, probably a little bit more. In a market that's not very competitive, if you get and you all of a sudden you rank for the keyword junk removal, right off the bat, very well, then you're probably actually going to relatively quickly be very near your total potential that you can get from organic, especially if you get that on the top 3 results. Now, if you bump that to the first result and then you start working on your map pack, that's great. And then you always do want to focus on the other keywords. So when you first get started with SEO, we want to work on the junk removal keyword, the junk hauling keyword, but we know that keyword is very competitive. So while we work on that, we're also going to target hot tub removal, shed demolition and removal, hoarder clean out. You might do on SEO, you might target appliance removal. You will not target appliance removal on Google Ads. So there's a lot of these other items and item removals, and you can look at search term reports and determine, I want to target these SEO search terms. Now, how do you do that? Well, you create landing pages for those search terms, and you create landing pages for the areas, the different cities and municipalities that you operate in. And if you do that consistently, and then you have some sort of a link outreach strategy where you can have occasional articles written about you. If you guys get covered on by a news outlet, we see several guys periodically get covered by news outlets. See if they can do an article or mention with you on a website and actually link back to your page. If you guys partner with any charities, see if the charity would list your website on their website and link back to you, because that's going to help out your link score. If you're working with some professional organizers, hey, can you stick a link on the page back to me? That way your customers know who to contact. So just think about the different places you might be able to get links out there and just work on that. And over time, a good consistent content creation strategy, a good consistent link strategy, will lead to more and more organic jobs. So what I say all the time is initially, ROI on SEO sucks at first. It's like 0 or very close. ROI long term is unlimited. If you're using the JRA SEO portion of the management, it's $900 some. At first, you're going to get very little from that, but long term, let's look at Junk Doctors. Last month, let me think. Let's see, in July, I hadn't looked at last month. So in July, it was something like $330,000 in sales. About half of that or so was from repeat clients. So that's going to be roughly $160,000 from repeat. We had a few from other advertising sources and referrals and stuff like that. So it's probably somewhere around $120,000 or so came from Google. Of that, it was about a 50-50 split. About $60,000 came from SEO, about $60,000 came from Google Ads. That is the numbers that you can strive for over time. So Google, all this is a long-term play. Even Google Ads, which results in short-term business, is actually a long-term play. Because what occurs is the 3 R's. You get in front of as many people as possible. You do as many jobs for as many people as possible. You do the best job you possibly can. People are going to leave reviews online. They're going to refer you to others, and they're going to reuse you again. And that's where the real magic happens with marketing. It's not short term, it's long term. If you guys can think long term, you'll do extremely well. We are getting ready to wrap, so any last minute questions or comments, please make sure to place them in the comment section. Always enjoy doing these shows. Hope you found this one to be extremely beneficial. We mentioned before that there are a couple different parts to a great junk removal marketing campaign. Or an ads campaign in this case. You got the Google ad, you got the website, you got the answering the phone. We can handle all 3 here, and we do it for a ton of companies throughout the country. We do it for our own business. It's the same formula that built up Junk Doctors. If you guys are interested, 919-737-7240. You can email success@junkrA.com, and you can also check out junkrA.com. We'll see you next week, Tuesday, 12 noon Eastern.
Does this look like you? Always ruining date night with the work call and leaving your partner upset again? Let us take your call so you can get your life back. The JRA Contact Center. Make more money and live a better life.